Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Safaraz and my lesson number is 131. Today I'm gonna tell you the review of some article that I've read before. Okay, before we start, I want to ask you a simple question. Do you think listening is a passive skill or an active one? Many people assume that listening is passive, something which is do without thinking. However, research actually shows the opposite. Listening is a highly active cognitive process that involves understanding, interpreting, and also responding to meaning. So today, I will present 10 research articles that explore new perspectives in teaching listening. The studies show how listening instruction has evolved over time, starting from simple and enjoyable methods like music and moving toward more advanced approaches such as artificial intelligence or AI. Okay, now let's begin with something very familiar to all of us, music. The first article discusses the use of English songs in learning. Many students unconsciously learn English just by listening to music, right? This idea is supported by the dual coding theory, which explains that people learn better when they combine sound and meaning. Songs work as an emotional bridge because rhythm and repetition help store language in long-term memory. One major strength of this method is that it reduces anxiety and makes learning more enjoyable and independent. Students can even learn through platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, and something like that. However, the weakness is that song lyrics often contain slang or non-standard grammar, which may the beginners feel confused. Building on this idea, the second article suggests that learning becomes even more effective when we combine listening with reading. This approach reflects how people naturally learn language using multiple senses at the same time. The study shows that this method can improve comprehension by up to 25% and increase vocabulary by around 30%. Despite these advantages, one limitation is that the materials are often based on Western contexts, which may not always be relevant to all learners. A similar concept appears in the third article, which focuses on audiovisual media. In this method, students both see and hear information simultaneously. Visual elements help make abstract sounds more concrete, allowing students to understand more quickly. And this approach increases motivation and supports long-term memory. However, it also depends heavily on technology, and limited facilities or poor internet access can become a challenge in some classrooms. Okay, moving forward, the fourth article introduces authentic materials such as podcasts and TED Talks. These materials expose students to real-life English, including different accents and natural expressions. This makes learning more engaging and realistic. However, authentic materials can sometimes be too difficult, especially for lower level learners, for beginners, and may cause cognitive overload and if not properly adjusted. In contrast to focusing on input, the fifth article shifts attention to how students process information. It introduced the concept of translanguaging, where students use both their first language and also second language when taking notes. This approach shows that using the first language is not a weakness, but it's a helpful strategy. It reduces mental load and improves understanding during the test. On the other hand, relying too much on the first language may reduce long-term retention compared to using full English. Okay, next, we move into a more modern approach with artificial intelligence, or AI. So the sixth article explains how AI can provide real-time feedback and create personalized learning experiences. This changed education from a one-size-fits-all model to a more adaptive system. AI is especially effective in improving speaking skills and building confidence. However, its impact on listening skills is still limited and requires further development. Similarly, the seventh article discusses video-based learning using ESL platforms. Students are encouraged to make predictions before watching videos, which helps activate their prior knowledge. This shows that technology alone is not enough. It must be combined with effective learning strategies. The results are quite significant, with 55% of students showing improvement and increased confidence. However, the study was conducted over a short period of only 4 weeks, which may limit its reliability. In contrast to individual technology-based learning, the eighth article highlights cooperative learning. This approach is based on Vygotsky's theory, which emphasizes the importance of social interaction in learning. In this context, listening becomes a shared activity where students construct meaning together through discussion. And this method provides peer support and improves understanding. However, it can be difficult to manage in large or less controlled classrooms. Continuing with classroom strategies, the ninth article introduced guided note-taking. In this method, teachers provide incomplete notes that students must complete while listening, like a blank. And this acts as a mental guide that keeps students focused and actively engaged. It improves concentration and encourages active listening. However, preparing these materials can be time-consuming for teachers. Finally, the 10th article focuses on retelling, especially for students with learning difficulties or disabilities. Retelling requires students to process and reconstruct information, which reflects deep understanding rather than simple hearing. The ability to recall details is a strong indicator of listening success. However, students with memory or processing challenge may find this method more difficult from the other. Okay, from all these studies, we can see that listening is not a passive skill. It is active, complex, and also constantly evolving. Different methods from songs to AI shows that effective listening instruction requires a combination of strategies. As future educators, we need to balance technology, then teaching methods, and also human interaction to create meaningful learning experiences. So, in conclusion, listening is not just about hearing sounds. It is about understanding meaning and connecting with the world around us. Okay, I think that's all I can tell you, and thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.